In our previous video, we have gone through the respiratory system. Now in this lecture, we'll move forward towards another system of the body, that is the circulatory system. So now what is circulatory system? It is means of transportation of essential things in our body. So here the circulatory system in humans, it is divided into two parts. As you can see in the diagram, first is cardiovascular system and the second is lymphatic system. Now what is cardiovascular system? It is an organ system that permits blood to circulate and transport nutrients such as amino acids and electrolytes, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hormones and blood cells to and from the cells in the body to provide nourishment and helps in fighting diseases, stabilizes temperature and pH and to maintain hemostasis, that is to prevent bleeding. Okay, so हमारी बॉडी का जो फर्स्ट सिस्टम है सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम, दैट इज़ द कार्डियोवैस्कुलर सिस्टम. इस सिस्टम में मेन जो लिक्विड है विच ट्रांसपोर्ट्स एवरीथिंग, दैट इज़ द ब्लड. ब्लड प्लेज अ मेजर रोल ओवर हियर. ब्लड ट्रांसपोर्ट करेगा न्यूट्रिएंट्स, ऑक्सीजन, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, हार्मोन्स एक्सेट्रा. ओके, यही ब्लड, or you can say the blood cells, your RBC, WBC, that we are going to study further. This blood also helps to fight against diseases, to provide nourishment to each and every cell. pH को भी मेंटेन करता है, बॉडी के टेम्परेचर को भी मेंटेन करता है, एंड वेन एवर देर इज़ अ ब्लड लॉस ड्यू टू इंजरी, सो वो ब्लड लॉस के प्रोसेस को भी हमारा ब्लड जो है वो स्टॉप कर देता है. Got it? So all these we are going to study in our cardiovascular system. The second circulatory system we are having is the lymphatic system, and the liquid which plays a major role is the lymph. That also we are going to study in detail. So here I have shown you the composition of blood. Look at figure number 1. Here composition of blood, it is shown, that is blood is composed of plasma and formed elements. अब plasma क्या होता है? You compare plasma with water, ठीक है, and compare formed elements with log of woods. ठीक है, लकड़ी के टुकड़े लॉग ऑफ वुड्स, दे आर द फॉर्म्ड एलिमेंट्स एंड प्लाज्मा इज वाटर. अब वाटर में कैसे लकड़ी के टुकड़े जो होते हैं वो फ्लोट करते हैं. गॉट इट? इन द सिमिलर मैनर ऑल द फॉर्म्ड एलिमेंट्स जो आपके ल्यूकोसाइट्स है, प्लेटलेट्स है, एरिथ्रोसाइट्स है, दे फ्लोट और दे आर सस्पेंडेड इन द प्लाज्मा. करेक्ट. नाउ प्लाज्मा खुद का भी उसका एक कंपोजिशन होता है. प्लाज्मा इटसेल्फ कंसिस्ट ऑफ अमीनो एसिड्स, न्यूट्रिएंट्स, प्रोटीन्स, गैसेस, इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स एंड नाइट्रोजीनियस वेस्ट. Okay, so here we have studied regarding composition of plasma. Now coming to the formed elements, we are having leukocytes जो है हमारे WBC, platelets and erythrocytes. Erythrocytes are the RBC, red blood cells. Now in leukocytes also further हमारे जो WBC है वो क्लासीफाई किए गए हैं granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes में क्लासिफिकेशन फर्दर है न्यूट्रोफिल्स, बेसोफिल्स एंड इओसिनोफिल्स. ओके, एक ग्रैन्युलोसाइट्स में क्लासिफिकेशन है लिम्फोसाइट्स एंड मोनोसाइट्स. नाउ इन द फिगर बी, हियर आई हैव शोन यू फंक्शन ऑफ ईच एंड एवरी सेल. For example, your red blood cells, they help in transport of O2 and CO2, that is O2 and CO2 exchange. The platelets, they help in blood clotting. जो मैंने hemostasis की बात कही थी, there the platelets work. Okay. Then your white blood cells, leukocytes, we are having 5 different types of white blood cells and they all help in fighting against infection. Here you can see the first 3, neutrophils, eosinophiles and basophils. Okay. इनके साइटोप्लाज्म में ग्रैन्यूल्स है. यू कैन वेरी इजीली सी डॉट लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स. ओके, तो इनको क्लासिफाई किया गया है ग्रैन्युलोसाइट्स में. ओके, एंड द लास्ट लिम्फोसाइट एंड मोनोसाइट, यू कैन सी द साइटोप्लाज्म इज वेरी क्लियर. यहाँ पे ग्रैन्यूल्स नहीं है, therefore they are agranulocytes. But all the white blood cells, they fight against infections. Here the diagram of a heart I have shown you, heart which is our pump. Okay, so the heart is a muscular organ which is as big as our fist. अब ऑक्सीजन एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ये दोनों को ट्रांसपोर्ट करना होता है ब्लड को. दैट इज वाई हार्ट शुड हैव डिफरेंट चेम्बर्स टू प्रिवेंट ऑक्सीजन रिच ब्लड फ्रॉम मिक्सिंग विद द ब्लड कंटेनिंग कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. ठीक है, अब ये जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिच ब्लड है उसे लंग्स तक पहुंचना होता है. मीन्स ईच एंड एवरी सेल इट रिमूव्स कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, ये हमें पता है. ओके, सो ऑल दिस कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड फ्रॉम द सेल इट एंटर्स इनटू द ब्लड स्ट्रीम और वो ब्लड जाएगा हार्ट तक. हार्ट से लेके वो ब्लड जाएगा लंग्स में. साइमल्टेनियसली लंग्स में जो प्योर ऑक्सीजन है वो डिफ्यूज़ होगा ब्लड में and blood will bring that oxygen to the heart. Okay, and heart will then transport that oxygen to the rest of the body. Okay, so this process is very complicated. So now let's study this process step by step in detail. Now you can very clearly see in the diagram we are having 4 chambered heart: right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. Okay, now let's focus on circulation of blood through the heart. You look to the box diagram and simultaneously look to the color diagram. Okay, now first of all let's start with the deoxygenated blood, that is carbon dioxide rich blood. Now first it is written superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. As you can see in the color diagram, we are having 2 superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Now superior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood from the head portion and inferior vena cava brings blood from the rest of the body. That means carbon dioxide rich blood, and both the vena cavas pour blood into the right atrium. Okay, now the right atrium it relaxes because it is receiving blood उसमें जा रहा है तो right atrium क्या करेगा, relax करेगा. After that the right atrium contract, right atrium का contraction होगा. अब blood जो है वो lower chamber में transfer होगा, that is your right ventricle. but कैसे? by the opening of the tricuspid valve. ठीक है, focus on the word tricuspid valve. yes, अब राइट वेंट्रिकल जो है वहाँ जब ब्लड फिल होगा सो इट डायलेट्स, वो उसकी साइज जो है वो बढ़ जाएगी. गॉट इट? नाउ फ्रॉम द राइट वेंट्रिकल द ब्लड नाउ इट इज पम्प्ड इनटू द पल्मोनरी आर्टरी. As you can see in the box diagram, from the right ventricle, blood enters into the pulmonary artery by the opening of the pulmonary valve. यहाँ पे भी valve present है, pulmonary valve. And finally, from the pulmonary artery, carbon dioxide rich blood, or you can say deoxygenated blood, gets entry into the lungs. And from there, carbon dioxide, as we know, we have seen in the respiratory system, carbon dioxide gets entry into the alveoli, and from the alveoli carbon dioxide is exhaled out through exhalation. yes, this is one pathway. Okay, now simultaneously let's see the other one. As you have seen in the box diagram, from the lungs oxygen rich blood gets entry into the left atrium. lungs में oxygen rich blood, how you get oxygen rich blood? Oxygen on reaching to alveoli diffuses into the blood and now the blood is rich in oxygen. So that oxygen rich blood, or you can say oxygenated blood, enters into the left atrium. So here the left atrium relaxes while collecting the blood. After the left atrium is completely filled with the blood, it starts to contract. और लेफ्ट एट्रियम का जब कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा एट दैट टाइम द ब्लड पासिस इनटू द लेफ्ट वेंट्रिकल बाय द ओपनिंग ऑफ द मिट्रल वॉल्व, और यू कैन से बाइकस्पिड वॉल्व. ओपनिंग ऑफ द बाइकस्पिड वॉल्व ओपन होने से लेफ्ट एट्रियम से ऑक्सीजन रिच ब्लड gets entry into the left ventricle. Okay. Now, after the contraction of the left ventricle, the oxygen rich blood gets entry into the aorta. And from the aorta, the oxygen rich blood is transported to the entire body, towards the head and towards the down body parts. Yes. So here we have seen blood is circulated twice. In your right atrium system, we are having carbon dioxide rich blood, and your left atrium system, we are having oxygen rich blood. Okay. So here heart have twice blood circulation. So we have double circulation process. Okay. And another thing to note down, ये जो ventricles होते हैं, they have to pump blood to various organs. इसीलिए ventricles के जो walls होते हैं, they are much thicker. They are having thicker muscular walls because pressure के साथ ventricles को जो है blood को pump करना होता है. Got it? And another thing, जो walls हमने देखे, bicuspid wall, tricuspid wall, what is the function of that walls? ये walls का function होता है when ventricles contract. ठीक है, वेंट्रिकल्स अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होते हैं तो ये वॉल्व्स जो होते हैं वो बंद हो जाते हैं, सो दैट योर ब्लड कैन नॉट गो बैक इनटू द एट्रियम. ब्लड कैन नॉट फ्लो बैक इनटू द लेफ्ट एट्रियम और द राइट एट्रियम. ओके. व्हाई डू बर्ड्स एंड मैमल्स हैव डबल सर्कुलेशन? The reason is the separation of right side and the left side of the heart is useful to keep oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from mixing. Such separation allows a highly efficient supply of oxygen to the body. Now we know that this is useful in animals which have high energy needs. Again, जैसे birds या mammals, we require energy in a bulk. Okay, और ये energy हम use करते हैं हमारे body temperature को maintain करने के लिए. Okay, now in animals that do not use energy for this purpose, the body temperature depends on the temperature in the environment. जो animals energy use नहीं करते हैं body temperature को maintain करने के लिए, उन animals में temperature जो है वो environment के basis पे maintain होता है. Got it? Such animals like amphibians and reptiles, उनके पास 3 chambered heart होते हैं. And they can tolerate some mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood streams. As you can see in the diagram, 3 chambered heart consist of the 2 atrium, left atrium and right atrium, but the ventricle is only one where mixing of the blood takes place. Okay. And in the last one figure, as you can see very clearly, there is only 2 chambers. Example, as we found in fishes. Fishes have only 2 chambers in their heart, and the blood is pumped to the gills, is oxygenated there, and passes directly to the rest of the body. Okay, the blood goes only once through the heart in the fish during one cycle of passage through the body. Whereas in birds and mammals, we are having blood passing through the heart twice during each cycle, so we are having double circulation. Now let's proceed further into the types of blood vessels. Now as you can see very clearly in the diagram, we are having arteries. These are the vessels which carry blood away from the heart to various organs of the body. ठीक है, arteries they take oxygen rich blood from the heart to the various organs of the body. Okay, since the blood emerges from the heart under high pressure, ये जो arteries होते हैं उनके पास thick elastic walls होते हैं. Okay, as we have seen in our previous slide, ventricles का जब contraction होता है, that is your left ventricle, है ना. Left ventricle का contraction होता है, at that time oxygen rich blood flows into the aorta. Okay, now this aorta, it supplies oxygen rich blood to all the different organs of the body through the arteries. So arteries जो हैं, they have walls which are thick and elastic. Okay, अब as you can see the diagram, veins collect blood from different organs of the body and bring it back to the heart. And वो भी कहाँ पे? From superior and inferior vena cava, as we have seen in the previous slide. Now they do not have thick walls. Veins के जो walls होते हैं वो thick नहीं होते हैं because the blood in the veins, it is no longer under pressure. Okay, but veins में एक important चीज़ होती है, that is valve. As you can see in the diagram, veins के अंदर walls होते हैं that so that the blood flows only in one direction. Okay, now in the image you can see very clearly artery and vein, they combine to form a location called a capillary. Okay, now the walls of capillaries are very thin, so that here the exchange of materials between the blood and the surrounding cells takes place. Okay, now suppose what happens if your system of tubes develops a leak. Think about the situation when you are injured and you start the bleeding. Yes, naturally ये loss of blood from the system से वो हमें minimize करना होता है. In addition, अगर leakage जो है ज़्यादा हो जाता है, so this will reduce the efficiency of the pumping system. So in order to avoid this, platelets come into action. अब ये platelets क्या होता है? I already said you when I told you regarding types of blood cells. Platelets are tiny blood cells that help your body forming clots to stop bleeding. If one of your blood vessels get damaged, it sends out signals to the platelets. So the platelets rush to the site of damage. They form a plug, that is a clot, to fix the damage. Blood vessel में अगर कोई भी इंजरी होती है तो platelets जो है as you see in the diagram उस साइड पे पहुंच जाते हैं and then they will form a clot. और उसकी वजह से क्या है, blood vessels जो है then वो अपना रिपेयरिंग शुरू कर देता है and the wound heals up. Now another type of fluid which is involved in transportation is the lymph. So here we are having the lymphatic system. Okay, now मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया था कि कैपिलरीज से एक्सचेंज होता है ऑफ वेरियस हार्मोन्स, न्यूट्रिएंट्स, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड और ऑक्सीजन इनटू द सेल. ओके, नाउ द कैपिलरीज दे आर हैविंग पोर्स और उस पोर्स में से समटाइम्स सम अमाउंट ऑफ प्लाज्मा, proteins and some blood cells, they escape into the intercellular spaces. वो cells के बीच में आ जाते हैं coming out from the capillaries. Okay, and अब आप देख सकते हैं interstitial fluid is present between the cells. Okay, in figure A. So from that interstitial fluid, some amount of proteins, plasmas or other blood cell, now they combine together to form a tissue fluid or the lymph. और ये lymph अब entry लेगा lymphatic system में. Okay, now this lymph joins the lymphatic capillary from the intercellular spaces. अब ये जो lymphatic capillaries है, they will form large lymph vessel that finally opens into the larger veins, as I have shown you through the marker in the second figure. Okay, अब ये lymph carry क्या करेगा अपने साथ? It carries digested and absorbed fat from the intestine, that is the villi position. Okay, and drains excess fluid from the extracellular space back into the blood. Moreover, the primary function of the lymphatic system is to transport lymph, which contains number of infection fighting white blood cells throughout the body. So, it enhances immunity of the individual. Let's recollect our knowledge for blood circulatory system and lymphatic system through this video.
Your heart is an extraordinary machine. During your lifetime, your heart's muscular walls pump blood into blood vessels branching throughout your body. Your heart has 4 chambers. 2 upper chambers, called the left and right atria, and two lower chambers, called the left and right ventricles, contract in a steady rhythm known as your heartbeat. During a normal heartbeat, blood from your tissues and lungs flows into your atria, then into your ventricles. Walls inside your heart, called the interatrial and interventricular septa, help keep the blood on left and right sides from mixing. Two valves sit like doors between your atria and ventricles to prevent blood from flowing backward into your atria. The tricuspid valve opens into your right ventricle, and the bicuspid valve, also known as the mitral valve, opens into your left ventricle. Strong, thin tissues, called chordae tendineae, hold your valves in place during the forceful contractions of your ventricles. Blood leaving the ventricles passes through another set of valves, the pulmonary valve between your right ventricle and pulmonary trunk, and the aortic valve connecting your left ventricle and aorta. In order to pump blood more efficiently, your heart muscle, called myocardium, is arranged in a unique pattern. 3 layers of myocardium wrap around the lower part of your heart. They twist and tighten in different directions to push blood through your heart. When special cells, called pacemaker cells, generate electrical signals inside your heart, the heart muscle cells, called myocytes, contract as a group. Your heart is divided into left and right halves, which work together like a dual pump. On the right side of your heart, deoxygenated blood from your body's tissues flows through large veins, called the superior and inferior vena cava, into your right atrium. Next, the blood moves into your right ventricle, which contracts and sends blood out of your heart to your lungs to gather oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide. On the left side of your heart, oxygen-rich blood from your lungs flows through your pulmonary veins into your left atrium. The blood then moves into your left ventricle, which contracts and sends blood out of your heart through the aorta to feed your cells and tissues. The first branches off your aorta are the coronary arteries, which supply your heart muscle with oxygen and nutrients. At the top of your aorta, arteries branch off to carry blood to your head and arms. Arteries branching from the middle and lower parts of your aorta supply blood to the rest of your body. Your heart beats an average of 60 to 100 beats per minute. In that 1 minute, your heart pumps about 5 quarts of blood through your arteries, delivering a steady stream of oxygen and nutrients all over your body.
The lymphatic system. Lymph vessels are found in all tissues except the central nervous system, the bone marrow, and tissues without blood vessels such as cartilage. The lymph system vessels are extensive as the vessels of the circulatory system. The lymphatic system serves several functions. It controls fluid balance by draining and cleansing the fluids that leave the circulatory system to deliver nutrients and gases to the tissues. It interacts with the villi in the digestive system to absorb and deliver fats to the circulatory system. It also has an immunological protection from viruses, bacteria, fungi, and cellular debris that could damage the cells of the body. From your understanding of the circulatory system, you know that the blood passes through the arteries, arterioles, and then the capillaries. The capillary walls allow the fluid portion of the blood to exit the capillaries into the surrounding tissues. Once the fluid leaves the capillaries, it is called interstitial fluid. About 90% of this fluid will diffuse back into the capillaries because of the difference in concentrations of the fluid. However, about 10% of the fluid will enter the open-ended lymph vessels, Once the fluid has entered the lymph vessels, it's now called lymph. These vessels eventually deliver the lymph to locations where the lymph can be cleansed of debris and checked for the presence of pathogenic organisms. How it gets the lymph there is pretty amazing. There is no heart for this system of vessels to pump the lymph around. So how does the lymph get to the locations it needs to be delivered to?
This is just only for your information. Now, what is blood pressure? Blood pressure is a force that the blood exerts against the wall of the vessel. It is of two types, systolic and diastolic. Okay. Now, what is systolic blood pressure? The pressure of the blood inside the artery during ventricular systole contraction. Means we have seen that in your लेफ्ट वेंट्रिकल ओके लेफ्ट वेंट्रिकल जो है वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है एंड एट दैट टाइम ब्लड containing oxygen it gets entry into the aorta and from the aorta it is transported to the various part of the body. ठीक है. So ventricular contraction जब होता है तो blood has to pass to the entire body and therefore the ventricle के जो walls होते हैं they are thick enough and they are muscular enough. Okay. So at that time the pressure exerted by the blood on the arterial wall that is called a systolic pressure and its normal range is 120 mm of mercury. Got it? Yes. And as you can see in the figure, diastolic blood pressure, what is that? It is the pressure in the artery during ventricular diastole. जब दोनों ventriculars relax करते हैं, at that time the pressure which is exerted by the blood on the artery, that is the diastolic pressure, and its range is 80 mm of mercury. Blood pressure is measured with an instrument called sphygmomanometer. High blood pressure is also known as hypertension and it is caused by the constriction of arterioles which results in increased resistance to blood flow. It can lead to the rupture of an artery and the internal bleeding. Now your assignment time is you have to explain the circulation of blood in humans. Now regarding the another topic that is transportation in plants, we'll go through this topic in our next lecture and together we will do the topic excretory system.